Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And in this video, I want to share with you a few tips, 5 to be exact, that I think that if you watch this, that will help you feel more attractive. Now, based upon the title, which you've already read it, you probably are thinking I'm going to talk about your physical appearance, your hair, your makeup, your body. In some way I am, but I think these tips are going to be a little bit more unorthodox. They're going to help you see yourself, that you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, and you're going to be more attractive, not only to other people. We're focusing on being more attractive to ourselves. And tip number 5 is one that I want you to stay tuned for. I think this one is going to blow your mind. So let's get into the video. All right, so the first tip I have is sleep. All right, don't sleep on this because this is a game changer. Making sure that I have adequate sleep has really changed the game for me. If you look at a 24-hour day, I automatically take 10 hours off the top to set aside for sleep. Now, I do not use an alarm. I allow God to wake me up whenever He wants to wake me up. So if tonight it is 8 hours of sleep that I get and I'm rested and I wake up, then it's 8 hours. If I need the 10, it's already allotted for. Now, for me, this was so important because this came on the heels several years ago when I had, just out of nowhere, I started having a lot of medical problems. And my blood pressure was, or my heart rate, not my blood pressure, but my heart rate was skyrocketing. My blood sugar was bottoming out. And I had many trips to the hospital, and no one could identify why. Well, the last trip, or the last time that I had one of these episodes, that's what I always call them, one of these episodes. I remember being released from the hospital, and I was out of town because I went to a specific specialty hospital to have testing done. And while being in the hospital for 3 days, going through a battery of testing, the doctors couldn't find anything. And I don't know if you've ever had a chronic condition that has just overtaken your life. And it sounds crazy, but in some way you're just looking for someone to tell you what's going on so you can say, aha, I got an answer. I can put my hand on this. This is what it really is. Well, after being released from the hospital and having a battery of tests done, the doctor said they couldn't find anything. But lo and behold, after being released from the hospital, I knew I wasn't going to drive back home. I had rented or booked a hotel room to stay the night to drive home the next morning. I was by myself. And I remember leaving the hospital, and there was a Whole Foods that was around the corner from the hotel. I had been in this area quite often, so I was very familiar. And I said, well, because I hadn't eaten the 3 days that I had been in the hospital at the time of my discharge, they gave me a little bit of food, but I said, I'm going to get some food from Whole Foods, and then I'm going to check into the hotel. Well, I went to Whole Foods, and I was just about to complete my shopping, and one of these episodes started. And I was able to check out. I got to my car. I was able to make it to the hotel. And I remember taking my ID and my credit card and putting it on the counter of the hotel lobby, the desk, to check in. And this episode started, the heart rate and that type of thing. Usually that's what really would kick it off. And from that, EMS was called. I was transported back to that hospital, to the ER, later on released several hours later, again without them not finding anything. And again, like I said, this may not make sense to you because maybe you've not had a chronic condition or something that really attacks you and you just don't know where it's coming from. The doctors would say you're the healthiest sick person I've ever seen. And because of the way I looked and the way that I presented, and I did not look sick, many times the medical staff just really didn't take me serious. Well, released from the hospital, I checked into the hotel room that night. The next morning, the doctors that oversaw my stay for those 3 days called me and they said, well, we see that you was admitted to the emergency room. We looked at your tests and we can't find anything. And again, makes no sense, but you're just discouraged because you really want to answer. You don't want anything to be wrong, but you just really want to answer because you feel like I felt like if I had an answer, I knew better how to fight. Now, mind you, when all this was going on, I did not have the spiritual maturity that I have now. So there's been a lot of growth. And so after hanging up the phone with that doctor that morning, I was in the hotel room in the bed. And I remember crying out to God, and I said, Lord, if you don't help me, I'm going to die. And there was an audible voice. I truly believe that it was an audible voice that I heard. And I heard the words sleep, a 5-letter word. And I believe I heard sleep fool. And people would laugh and say, you know, God didn't call you a fool. But I believe that's what I heard. And from hearing that, I took it to mean, that's all I heard, but I took it to mean that I needed to prioritize my sleep. And from that day up until now, I have set aside every day. Like I said, I automatically wipe out 10 hours for sleep. Every day is not, when this first started happening, I needed every bit of those 10 hours. There are some days I sleep 8 hours, and there's some days I sleep the whole 10. Like I said, I do not use an alarm clock. I do have the end of the day routine where I prepare myself for bed. Sleep is very important to me, and I try my best to focus on quality sleep. The only time that I use an alarm clock is when I travel. Like if I'm traveling and I have to change time zones and that type of thing, just for a backup, just to make sure that I'm on time for whatever appointment or event that I'm participating in. But I believe that one word that God gave to me saved my life. From that day to this day, as long as I adhere to that protocol that God gave to me, I have never had a problem. And so I want to say that to encourage you. A lot of times we hear people talking about you don't need sleep, you're going to sleep when you die. All those things are stupid. I truly believe that there's a protocol that God has for each and every one of us as an individual, and it may look different and really sometimes very abnormal from what everybody else is doing, but you have to be willing to stay the course with what God has set for you. That is something, a word that God gave for me. I don't deviate from it. I've tried to deviate from it, and trust me, I have paid a high price. The last time that I did that, I just heard, aren't you tired? Just like, aren't you tired of not doing it my way? I've given you your answer. I've given you what you need to do, and you keep trying to do something totally different. And it may not make sense, and it may not look fair, 10 hours, and people say, oh, you need 6 hours, you need 7 hours. You need what God tells you that you need. So the first tip that I have for you, again, is sleep. Really focusing on deep sleep and REM sleep. Now, for many of you all to try to prioritize your sleep because you have so much going on in a given day. For me, as my day ends, I try to cease all conversation on the phone. I have a stop time of when I stop receiving phone calls. There are only a small group of people who can reach me within that time, that my strict cutoff time of communicating on the phone is only a small group of people. That's work, I stop. Communications, I stop. Because what I'm trying to do is prepare my mind to slow down so I can rest. There are certain things that I specifically do every night in order for me to have peaceful sleep. I've tried a lot of different things, but I truly believe the schedule that I have is what has worked best for me. When this started and when I received that revelation, it was confusing because I had to change a lot of things. But if that meant me living a better quality of life, I'm willing to change some things in order to get where I need to be. And don't be afraid to do something different that does not look like what everybody else is doing. A lot of times we have to be willing to look like a fool for God in front of everybody else, because I can't tell you how many doctors told me that was stupid. How in the world are you going to have a life if that's what you're doing? You're going to sleep 10 hours. And yeah. But you should know them by their fruit. It has produced, and it has produced very well. So if God is giving you some instructions about rest, You know, I don't have a television in my bedroom. I don't keep electronics in my bedroom. I just told you about the alarm. I do not set an alarm. I don't use computers in my bedroom. I don't have a television. I don't even own a television. I haven't for many, many years now. So whatever you have to do to prepare yourself for sleep, deep sleep and REM sleep, you need to do it. You know the things that you need to do. But if you want me to make a video on some of the things that I use to kind of help me along the way to make me more comfortable when I rest, just let me know. Let me know in the comments and I'll give that information to you. All right. The second thing is diet and nutrition. And so I'm not going to talk about a specific diet or specific nutrition. The only thing I'm going to say is that we got to stop eating like little children. Okay? Some of y'all still eat macaroni and cheese out of a box and that type of thing. Or you're drinking Kool-Aid still, okay? So I would say one of the things that can make you look more attractive is that you're taking care of yourself. You feel better, you're gonna look better, you're gonna do better, right? So really making sure that you are taking in consideration your macronutrients as well as your micronutrients, making sure that your vitamins and minerals are on point, being a good steward over your health, and making sure that you're going and getting your annual exams or every 6 months exams. What are some of the preventive care therapies that you need to implement to make sure that you're taking care of your health? Are you monitoring your blood pressure? Are you monitoring your blood sugar, your insulin? If you at a place and age for mammograms and colonoscopies and all these types, go get your eyes checked, go get your hearing checked, all these different types of things that makes a difference. But also making sure that you have a well-rounded, very robust diet and nutrition, making sure that you're eating more whole foods, right? Try to eat some foods that are green, in a variety of colors. And there's so many ways that you can do this to accommodate your lifestyle. Again, this is another area that I believe that God will give you instructions how to take the best care of yourself. You just got to be willing to implement it. And sometimes what we see on social media is just not the right way to go. And I'm looking at health, I'm looking at longevity, I'm looking at lifespan, but then also I look at aesthetics. What are some of the foods that you need to eat to make sure that you can encompass all those particular characteristics in one, to make sure that you have a well, robust diet to accommodate the lifestyle that you want to achieve, okay? Not make it complicated, but it's real important for you to evaluate what you're putting in your mouth. It's just when you feel good, you just do better. You know, eating a lot of foods that's making you lethargic, is breaking out your skin, and all these different types of things. You're just not going to feel as attractive if you would if your skin is popping and you're not bloated and you're not having heartburn and that type of thing. What are the things that you can do to improve? Can you read a book? You know, how can you inform yourself and get more information so you can be a better steward over your health? All right, the next is physical health. Physical health is important. I can't believe still how many people still want exercise, even walking. I mean, just basic walking, even just getting in some steps. If you live a sedentary lifestyle and you work behind a desk and you sit most of the day, you have a very sedentary lifestyle, which is a large part of the population now. And so really taking in how can you incorporate a exercise routine that encompasses weight-bearing exercises and also cardiovascular health. And how do you put those two together, okay? I just believe, this is my opinion, I don't believe God will make us so busy that we can't take care of our health. Why do I believe that? The reason that I believe that is true is because our bodies is the only thing that gives us authority to be on earth. And so although every day that we live, we are dying, God wants us to take care of these bodies so we can use them to be in service for Him. So if you don't have enough time, or you say that you don't have enough time to exercise and train, I would encourage you to really take a look at your schedule. And what I would say is cut out the fat. Where in your schedule do you have so much fluff that is causing you not to take care of your body. Because if you get sick, you can't work, you can't provide for yourself, and you can't provide for your family. Well, that's not attractive. And so you want to do those things that is going to make your life easier. Look at your schedule and make that a priority. Go ahead and allot for that. Don't make that as something that you do whenever you have time. You make sure that you fill it in so you do have time. I think all of us, if you really scrub your calendar and you really do an audit of your time, you have time somewhere to really take care of your health. Physical training is of some value. That is a scripture. Okay, so we just need to understand that. Number 4 is your mental health. Okay, your mental health truly makes you look and feel more attractive. Okay, I think we all can say, if you look at some of the things that shows up on the news or these different spotlights of stories that come up, we see that people are just really unstable in the way that they're thinking. And if you feel that you're slipping in the way that you are interacting and engaging from day to day, be an adult and go get the help that you need. Going through a state of depression is not something to be embarrassed about. I think all of us at some point have faced depression on some level, but the mature thing to do is go and get help so you don't end up hurting someone else because of your lack of inability to be self-aware to know that you need to go get some help. If you are suffering with any type of mental disorder, or you know that you're slipping, you know that your behavior is off, you know that some of the things that you're doing is not like you yourself, go seek some help. Go seek some help. Sit down and talk to someone and try to come up with a plan, and then pray. Well, I would say pray first, but pray and ask God what is going on. And sometimes take a look at your life and see what's around you that may be causing you to be a little off balance mentally. I know as I've gotten older, I just don't like a lot of confusion around me. I love a quiet life. I want to have peace and quiet. And there are some things that don't serve me and put me in the best mental space. And so it's my responsibility, because I know that, to do whatever I can to make sure those things are removed so it does not cause a problem for me, okay? Stress can kill you. You can allow your mental state to go on such a decline. It can cause you to lose your life, and it can cause you to hurt somebody else or just be completely and totally inappropriate at times when it's not the other person's fault. So do whatever it takes to make sure that your mental health is prioritized and that you take care of yourself. It's very attractive to make sure that you're mentally balanced, that you are clear in your communications, you're clear, and you are, when you show up in a situation, you show up sharp, and you're not being moved by every situation. Every time something goes on, your emotions is impacted. That's not a good thing. So number 4 is your mental health is one of the things that will help you look and feel more attractive. And number 5, which is the creme de la creme, I think, and I think this is one that you probably wouldn't think about to be a tip to make you feel more attractive, but it is. And I think your spiritual health is a key to making you feel more attractive. In my opinion, there is nothing better to see a woman who knows who she is in Christ. She has a level of confidence and boldness that no one can destroy. And so I think as we grow in our knowledge of God and building our relationship and studying the Word, we show up in a different way. And even if you don't see it, other people see the change in you. Other people see the glow. Other people see the shift, if you will. And I think it's so attractive for a woman to know who she is, for a woman to show up and say, you know what? I boldly stand up as a woman of God, and this is who I am. And you're not afraid to search and find out what God is saying for you. I heard an apostle say this, is that we have the ability and the authority to search the spirit. And so as I have searched the spirit, I have grown and changed over the years so much. And what I believed and thought many years ago may not be the same thing that I think and believe now. And that has a lot to do with my spiritual growth. And I pray that as I continue to grow, that even if nobody recognizes me in the world, that God recognizes me, because it will be like I'm just like, when he looks at me, he sees a replica of his son. And so I'm hoping that as I'm pruned, as I'm polished, and as I change, as I grow spiritually, it changes me that I will be a light bearer. And so when you walk into a room, that you captivate the room in a different way, not for sensual purposes or sexual purposes, but the spirit that you carry will shift the atmosphere, and people will be attracted to you for a whole different reason. They may not know why, but because you did that work in private, it will change the atmosphere when you go out in public. So there it is. Those are my 5 tips on, these are some of the things that can help you feel more attractive. They're not traditional things that we're thinking about, the hair, the makeup, and all those things are important. But I think sometimes we need to go under the hood and not be so superficial, if you will. We need to get down to the core things that really can shift and make your life different. And I think if you implement all 5 of these, or just address one, it can make a huge difference in your life and how you feel about yourself and how you show up in the world. Okay, it doesn't matter so much about what people think you look like, but what do you think you look like, and who do you think you are? That's what matters. That's the important part. So I hope that this video blesses you. I pray that you got something out of this, and that you will share this with someone else. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Be blessed. Bye-bye.